This is lecture 4 from the lecture series on the course Calculus of One Variable, and in this lecture we will be discussing certain important properties of supremum of a set. So, let us quickly recollect the definition of a supremum of a set. So, we say that alpha is the supremum of A if it satisfies the two conditions. The first one, alpha is an upper bound of A, that is what is happening for all x in A, we have x less than or equal to alpha. And second one, alpha is the least among all. Alpha is the least among all the upper bounds if beta is any upper bound of A, then beta should be greater than or equal to alpha. Alpha is less than or equal to beta. Alpha is least among all the upper bound. So, this is the definition of a supremum of A, and from here you should be able to negate this definition as well. So, now the question I have over here is that, see, this this observation is also important. Suppose I have a set, say A, shaded part, okay, and so you will have your supremum lying over here, alpha. So, the question, since alpha is the least upper bound, so the question over here is that if you have a number alpha 1 which is less than alpha, can it be a upper bound? Not possible, because already we have chosen the least upper bound among all the upper bounds. So, any number which is less than this, strictly less than this alpha, or strictly less than the supremum, cannot be ever upper bound. Okay. So, if alpha 1 is strictly less than alpha, then alpha 1 cannot be an upper bound of A, as alpha is the least upper bound of A. Okay. So, you understand, I am saying that it cannot be an upper bound. So, do you understand? You understand what I mean to say is that since alpha is the least among all the upper bound, any number which is lesser than this alpha cannot form an upper bound for the set A. Similarly, you can define this, you can see this term for the infimum of A. So, without wasting more times, let us quickly discuss two important properties of supremum of set A, okay, supremum of say subset of A. Okay. So, we discuss this in terms of theorem. Theorem is basically a statement in mathematics, and whenever we have a theorem, we justify the statement by proving it, by producing a proof for it. So, this is probably the first theorem under this chapter. So, I will call it as 1.1, theorem 1.1. So, what does it says? It is in fact an equivalent statement for a supremum of a set. Okay. So, this can be also called as a characterization, but we are going to have a more general statement in supremum which can be called as a characterization. So, a real number alpha is the least upper bound or is the supremum of A, which is a subset of R, if and only if, remember, understand that this is if and only if statement, that alpha satisfies two conditions. First condition is that alpha is an upper bound of A, and second one, if beta is less than alpha, then as I said, beta is not an upper bound of A. Any number which is less than the least upper bound cannot be an upper bound of A. And when do we say that beta is not an upper bound? That is, if beta is less than alpha, then there exists, beta is not an upper bound. So, there exists at least one element in A which is greater than beta, or beta is less than x. Okay. So, let us try to prove this. So, when I prove the statement, you need to look at the statement properly first, you need to understand the statement first. Now, this statement is of the form if and only if, it is a biconditional statement. So, we need to prove both the implication. In other words, we need to show that both the implications are true. Now, which are those both the implication in this case? Look at this statement. A real number alpha is the least upper bound. So, this would be one statement, and it is separated by the word if and only if. If and only if both the statements are true. So, your one statement is this: a real number alpha is the least upper bound of A, and the second statement are these two statements joined by the word and. Okay. So, there is a conjunction that is taking place over there. So, what we will do is that first we will assume that this is true, the first statement, and we will prove that both this are true, that is 1 and 2 are true. And then conversely, we will assume that this 1 and 2 are true, and we will prove that the real number alpha is the least upper bound of A. So, I use this notation for direct implication and converse implication. Direct implication, I write it in this way. That means, I assume that, suppose I have a statement S if and only if T, I assume that S is true and prove that T is true. I assume S and prove T. Okay. So, in this case, I will assume let alpha be the supremum of A. Okay. So, that is, I am assuming that is alpha is supremum of A, in short. Okay. I need to show this 1 and 2 holds. Okay. Now, since alpha is a supremum of A, by definition of supremum, alpha is the upper bound of A. So, definitely this statement is true. So, thus by definition I can say that alpha is an upper bound of A. Okay. So, we have proved the first statement. So, thus 1 is true. Now, we want to show that the second one is also true, but if you see the second one itself is again of the form if then. Okay. So, what I am saying is that if beta is less than alpha, then beta is not an upper bound of A. That is what we want to show, or we want to show that if beta is less than alpha, then there exists x in A such that beta is less than x. Now, what I will do is that I will prove this with the direct proof. That means, I will assume that this is true, and I will prove that this is if this is true, I will prove that the second statement is also true. So, let beta be less than alpha. Okay. Now, since beta is less than alpha and alpha is the least upper bound, what can happen? Beta will never be an upper bound of A, cannot be an upper bound of A. Okay. So, that is what we have proved, and therefore, thus by the definition of not being upper bound, thus there exists x in A such that definition of upper bound such that x is greater than beta, right, or beta is less than x. Now I mean, most of the time, you know, we may not write down in terms of quantifiers, we may write down in words also. So most of the time mathematically we use there exist, this notation for there exist, so this, and such that we can write down using this notation. So and when you write this such that you don't have to put a bracket, so this would be an optional way of writing, and most of the text do follow this way of writing. This is simply what we are, you know, framing a statement in word, the way we are framing a statement in word using some short form. Okay, so we have proved one way. So from 1 and 2, 1 and 2, from here I can say hence now 2 is also true. Okay, now the proof is not over. We need to assume that this 1 and 2 are true, the converse part, and we have to show that this alpha is the least upper bound of A. So let us assume that. So that's a converse proof. This is the notation I used. Conversely, let 1 and 2 be true. So what I need to show, I will take it as a claim, alpha which satisfies certain property of 1 and 2, which is mentioned in 1 and 2, I want to show that it is a supremum of A. So to show that this is the supremum of A, first thing we need to show that it is an upper bound, and secondly we need to show that it is the least among all the upper bound. So from 1 we have, from 1 which we have assumed alpha is an upper bound of A. So the first part of the definition is proved, so I will call this as 1. Okay, now to show the next part. So for that what I will do, I will choose any exactly I have to show that any upper bound of A have to be greater than or equal to this alpha. So for that I will choose any upper bound, let beta be any upper bound of A. So what exactly we need to show that this beta is the alpha is the least one. So beta have to be greater than or equal to alpha. So that means alpha is less than or equal to beta. This is what I need to show. Now we prove, most of the time we prove such kind of statement for an supremum in a using contradiction. So let if possible this alpha less than or equal to beta is not true. So if alpha is not equal to beta is not true. So basically what we will have some observed result which will never be true or which cannot be true from what we have assumed. Okay, so saying that my assumption that alpha less than or equal to beta is not true will never happen. Okay, so if alpha less than or equal to beta is not true, then thus what is the relation between alpha and beta? Alpha is greater than beta. Okay, so once alpha is greater than beta, we have beta less than alpha, and whenever a number is less than alpha by this second condition, this is what we assume to be true. Okay, by this second condition beta cannot be an upper bound of A. That itself is a contradiction. So that says that this says that beta is less than alpha, and so from 2 beta cannot be an upper bound of A. Okay, that is there exists x in A such that x is greater than beta, which is not true. Okay, so this says that, this contradiction says that our assumption that, hence our assumption that alpha greater than beta is not true. Hence, the only possibility is that alpha is less than or equal to beta, and therefore proving alpha is the supremum of A. So, this is the way we prove this if and only if result. Okay. Now, there is one generalized result from which is derived from this same statement. We would prove it next. So, we call it as theorem 1.2, and this in fact is called as the characterization of supremum. Basically, it is an equivalent statement to the supremum. It is again an if and only if statement. Now, what does it say is that an upper bound alpha of a non-empty set A in R is the supremum of A if and only if for every epsilon positive, for every positive real number there exists x in A. Now, this x is dependent on A, so that is why we denote it as x suffix A, such that, now again such that here I used the perfect notation of quantifier. It can be used, it can such that can be denoted by this word and then made a property. So, such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x epsilon. Okay, basically this can be actually visualized through the through a real line. So, what is happening is that suppose you have a set, okay, and when can I call in terms of this epsilon positive, when can I call that this alpha is the supremum of this set? See, what will happen is that this is exactly the generalization of the previous statement. You take for any epsilon positive, alpha plus epsilon will lie to the right of alpha and alpha minus epsilon will lie to the left of alpha. So, alpha minus epsilon will always be less than alpha, which is the greatest, which we consider to be a supremum of A, and that is why alpha minus epsilon cannot be an upper bound, and that is why there should exist some x, we call it as x epsilon such in A such that x epsilon is greater than alpha minus epsilon. So, that is the idea. Okay. In fact, it can be proved to the previous statement, some modification in the previous statement itself, but we give the rigorous proof of this, the direct proof of this. So, what we do here is that again it is an if and only if statement. You are already given that alpha is an upper bound. So, that is already mentioned. So, that is already assumed. The statement to be proved now is that alpha is the supremum of A if and only if for every epsilon positive this happens. So, first we will assume that alpha is the supremum of A, and then I have to show this. I have to show that for every epsilon positive there exists x in A such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x. I have to show this for every. So, whenever I want to show anything for all in the set of context, I just take an arbitrary element. So, what I will do is that I will take let epsilon be greater than 0, be arbitrary. Some epsilon greater than 0 I have taken, and for this I am going to show that this condition hold, that there is an x epsilon belongs to A such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x epsilon. Now, why that x epsilon, why that there exists an x epsilon, it is very clear. So, whenever I have alpha minus epsilon whenever I have epsilon positive, alpha minus epsilon, because I am removing certain quantity from alpha, will always be less than, strictly less than alpha. Okay. And this would say that alpha minus epsilon cannot be, by the previous theorem, cannot be an upper bound of A. That is, there exists x in A such that what happened, such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x. So, that proves the first part. Now, because Dirac implication is very easy, now we prove conversely. Conversely, suppose I assume for every epsilon positive there exists x epsilon in A such that x epsilon or alpha minus epsilon is less than x epsilon. Okay. Now, I need to show alpha is supremum of A. It is already given that alpha is an upper bound. So, I do not have to prove alpha is an upper bound to prove that it is a supremum of A. I only need to show that any other upper bound of A will exceed alpha. So, let beta be any upper bound of A. So, what we exactly need to show in this case is that this beta have to be greater than or equal to alpha, or alpha have to be less than or equal to beta. If not, if possible, I am challenging the statement, that is I am going by I am proving it by contradiction. So, if possible alpha be strictly greater than beta. So, then what we will have is that, okay, now what I will do is that, now see the assume statement. Assume statement is what, for any epsilon positive there exists some x epsilon in A such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x epsilon. So, what I will do is that I will try to produce one positive real number so that I can apply this, and through this I can get some contradiction. Okay. So, I will see from here what is positive quantity. In this case I can see that the difference alpha minus beta is positive. Okay. So, now since this is true for any epsilon positive, I will in particular I will take this as my epsilon. So, let epsilon be alpha minus beta, alpha minus beta, which is strictly greater than 0. So, I can choose it. So, from from assumption, or from whatever we have assumed, from assumption, what should happen? There exists x epsilon in A such that alpha minus epsilon is less than x epsilon. That is, there exists x epsilon in A, such that, now you know what is alpha. Alpha is same as alpha minus beta. Alpha minus beta is less than x epsilon. Okay. And that is same as saying, that is, there exists x epsilon in A such that alpha minus beta, that same as beta, is less than x epsilon. Can this be true? That is a contradiction, because this says that beta is not an upper bound, but we have assumed that beta is an upper bound over here. So, this is a contradiction, as beta is an upper bound of A. Okay. And why do we arrive to this contradiction? Because our assumption that alpha greater than beta is false, because we have assumed that alpha is strictly greater than beta, which is never possible. So, thus alpha greater than beta is false, and the only possibility, hence alpha is less than or equal to beta, proving that alpha is the supremum of set A. So, we are done with this. Okay. Now, the exercise for you, that you state and prove an analogous statement for infimum and see how it varies in terms of generalization. So, with this I end up this session. We would discuss some more properties, we would discuss some more application of this greatest lower bound and least upper bound in the next lecture. Stay tuned for it. Thank you for watching it.